Am I the a-hole for acting on something I overheard, even though I was never supposed to hear it?
The Bearded Take with Ethan X.
So I, 31 male, work in a pretty close-knit office. Not super corporate, more like one of those places where everyone talks, jokes, and probably shares a little too much sometimes. There's this guy I work with, Mark, who's 35. We're not best friends or anything, but we get along well. We've grabbed drinks a few times, talked about life, that kind of thing. He's married, no kids, and from everything I've seen, his marriage seems fine. About a week ago, I was staying late at work. Most people had already left, and half the lights were already off in the office. I went to grab something from the break room, and that's when I heard voices. Mark was in there, on the phone. I wasn't trying to listen. I didn't even realize it was him at first. But then I heard something that made me stop. He said, she doesn't need to know. It's not like I'm planning to leave. And yeah, that got my attention. I didn't walk in. I didn't make a sound. I just stood there. And I know that sounds bad, but once you hear something like that, it's hard to unhear it. Then he said, "It's not serious. It just feels good to have something that's mine again." At that point, my stomach dropped because now it wasn't vague anymore. He was talking about someone else. He went on for another minute or so, talking about meeting up, keeping things separate, making sure no one at work finds out. And then he hung up. I walked away before he came out, acted like nothing happened. But now I can't stop thinking about it because I've met his wife. She's nice, normal, no idea, at least from what I can tell, that anything's going on. And now I'm sitting on this information that I was never meant to have. If I say something, I blow up his life. If I don't, I'm basically keeping a secret for him. And here's the part that makes it worse. The next day, he was completely normal, talking about weekend plans with his wife, laughing, joking, acting like nothing happened. And now every time I see him, it just feels off. Like I know something I shouldn't. I found out yesterday that they're planning a big anniversary trip, like a big deal. The flight's booked, whole thing. And all I can think is, she has no idea. So am I the a-hole if I say something even though I wasn't supposed to hear any of it, or do I stay out of it and mind my own business? Call me naive or whatever, but it doesn't sound like what we overheard was really telling enough to come to any conclusion whatsoever. So yeah, if you go to this man's wife and tell him that you think that he might be cheating on you based on half of a conversation that you heard that provided hardly any context, yeah, that might make you a bit of an a-hole. But before we make any sort of major judgments here, let's read the update, because I could blow a gasket, but we might be able to avoid it. So here's the update. After I posted, I kept going back and forth on whether to say something. For a few days, I did nothing, just showed up at work, acted normal, and tried to stay out of it. But every time I saw Mark, every time he casually mentioned his wife, it just kept eating at me. So I made a decision not to confront him, not to blow things up at work, but to give him a chance. I pulled him aside after work and told him straight up, I overheard something the other night. And his entire face changed instantly. And I said, I'm not here to judge you, but you should probably tell her. And there was a long pause. Then he said something that honestly threw me off. You don't understand. So I asked him what he meant, and he said, this isn't what you think it is. And I'm thinking, okay, here comes the excuses. But he tells me it's not just some random affair. The person he's been talking to is his wife's sister. Oh my God. So yeah, I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He said it started as texting, just venting. Then it crossed a line. And it kept going. And now they've been seeing each other in secret. At that point, I didn't even know what to say, because now this isn't just cheating, this is nuclear. I told him that makes it worse, like way worse, and that he definitely needs to tell her. And that's when he got serious. He said, if you say anything, you're not just ruining my marriage, you're destroying her entire family. And yeah, he's not wrong. But then he said something that crossed a line for me. He said, I trust you with that. And I just looked at him and said, you didn't trust me. I overheard you. I went home that night feeling like I was holding a grenade, because now it's not just a bad situation. It's one of those situations where any move is going to blow everything up. So I did something I didn't plan on doing. I told his wife. Not in person. I sent a message. I kept it simple. I told her I overheard something that I think she deserves to know, and that she should talk to Mark. That's it. I didn't include details, didn't mention her sister. I figured that was something he needed to say. I thought I was doing the right thing. I was not prepared for what happened next. The next morning, all hell broke loose. She didn't just confront him, she confronted everyone. Apparently, she already had suspicions, and my message pushed her over the edge. She went through his phone and found everything. Messages, photos, plans, and yeah, it was exactly what he said. Her sister. She didn't just leave him, she cut off her entire family. Sister blocked, parents dragged into it, family group chats blown up, everything exposed. And now, it's all over the office too, because guess what? Her sister used to work with us. People are connecting the dots, talking, speculating. Mark hasn't shown up to work in 3 days. HR sent out a vague email about personal matters affecting staff. And now, people are starting to look at me, because somehow it got out that I was the one who told her. Some people are saying that I did the right thing, that she deserved to know. Others are saying I had no right to get involved, that I blew up an entire family over something that wasn't my business. And honestly, I don't even know anymore, because yeah, she knows the truth now. But the fallout? It's way bigger than just him cheating. It destroyed relationships that had nothing to do with me. And now I'm sitting here wondering, did I expose something that needed to come out? Or did I just light the match that burned everything down? So apparently that was the only update after all of that. And it's crazy that someone would go to such lengths for basically a total stranger. Like, yeah, sure, you work with Mark, but you never really know people outside of work unless you get in that much of an involved relationship with people. Depending on what you're like with your everyday people who you would really call friends, like is going out for drinks once in a while really the extent of what you would refer to as like a friendship? Probably not. So you barely know these people, and you probably never met his wife unless you happen to bump into her at work if she stopped in one day. Like you, a total stranger. And it all started because you overheard a conversation that wasn't meant for your ears, and then you continued to eavesdrop. As much as it's a really screwed up situation that you overheard the details about and then somehow got sort of forced into by deciding to confront it on your own, you took it upon yourself to take it to the level that you did. You could have just left it alone and minded your own business. But not only did you decide to confront your coworker and ask them about the conversation that you overheard, but then you went to his wife to expose him. And look, I'm not saying what he was doing was right by any stretch of the imagination, but I still can't help but want to say that you are the a-hole for just sticking your nose in things that didn't involve you and then almost acting like a victim because of it. You could have just walked away from the situation and decided that you were going to mind your own business and just let it be whatever it was going to be, because it had nothing to do with you. And again, I'm not saying what Mark was doing was right, but you definitely crossed a line in my mind that you went to that length for a total stranger. Like, what are you, Superman? Like, you overheard a conversation and then decided to become Veronica Mars and start investigating this whole thing and then blow it up. And yes, that reference might mean that the wife and I have been watching a lot of Veronica Mars lately. But anyway, craziness, absolute craziness. I think you should have kept your nose out of it. All morality aside, it was just not your place. So yes, my take is that you were the a-hole because it didn't need to involve you. It shouldn't have involved you. And it was one of those situations that was probably going to blow itself up eventually anyway. Not that that makes it right, but it never needed to involve you. You know, I really get the sense that you're a good person and that's why you wanted to do this, but I think you crossed a line. So that's my take. For the listeners, I would love to know your take. So let me know in the comments, and thank you for tuning in.